Hello folks, this is Sula speaking. You're listening to another video for Teamfight Tactics. This is more footage from the public beta environment, the PBE, an early look at set 11, Inkborn Fables. In this video, we're going to be looking at an Umbral team composition, one of the more interesting traits added in this set, a little bit different than anything that we've seen before. This is taken from a double-up game played together with Headwinder, and here on the starting carousel, we're trying to take a look at what opener we want. Pretty evenly divided here between the different teams. I think we have 2-2-2 and then two people not voting for any of the three options. But as it turns out, we are going to get the support anvil start because it is my pick this time around. Happens 1 out of every 8 games. It actually happens more often than that because there's frequently people who are not voting on the carousel. I don't really know why. All right, now I want to say first off, this is one of the new backgrounds that they have for this particular set, and I have to say I definitely like these backgrounds that they've designed. I didn't really like the ones that they had in set 10. A little bit unfortunate because set 10 was such a great set, but I thought that the backgrounds that they designed were not really that great, so I did not purchase any of the battle passes except the short Lunar New Year one because they had a nice background for the Lunar New Year. Anyway, though, this is pretty cool. Definitely fits the overall theme of the set. I expect that I will probably have a chance to use this once it's on the live client, but I guess we're going to find out. Now, there was a large patch released for PBE the day that we played this game. We're about 1 week into the public beta testing period for set 11. They put out patches basically every single day except for the weekends. And this one was one of the larger patches that they've done. There were a lot of buffs added to the Umbral trait in this patch, like a lot of buffs to Umbral trait. So I wanted to go ahead and give this a test, just test out Umbral. It definitely had been a bit underpowered. Excuse me, it had definitely been a bit underpowered in the previous patch versions, was not performing especially well in the data, but you know those wacky Riot developers, the way that they do these things, they say that they're not going to balance Thrash anymore, but they buffed, I think, 4 of the 6 Umbral units, and they also buffed the trait itself. So you know what's going to happen when they buff 2/3 of the units that make up a trait and also buff the trait itself. It's going to rocket from underpowered to overpowered. And I wanted to go ahead and give it a test here. Okay, so we're going to be trying to force Umbral in this particular game. I'm looking at the different options here. I would love to get an Umbral augment here. That would be incredible, but unsurprisingly, there is no Umbral augment here. So I will go ahead and take Lucky Gloves, and that's going to allow me to get the Super Thief's Gloves. Because this is the very first augment, it shouldn't be too hard to get value out of that. I should be able to get it probably at least 1 more Thief's Glove over the course of the game. And I can also look to build towards that by taking more gloves. Then on top of that, remember, this is a support. We get a support item to choose. That's because that was our initial portal. That was my choice out of the different options. So I'm going to go ahead and make the Thief's Glove. I only have 1 2-star unit right now, and it's Garen, who's going to come out of this build later on. So I will go ahead and put that on Garen. And then I will make sure that I have the Zerat minion. I'm going to have Teemo hold items for a future caster unit. There is a magic damage caster unit in the Umbral team composition, a unit that doesn't exist in normal League of Legends, a Loon, who we'll talk more about in a minute. So Teemo's going to hold items for that. Garen's just got the Thief's Glove as my only 2-star unit. I slapped the Zerat minion on Yorick. The Zerat minion should be pretty good here in the early game. They have set it up so it no longer scales by star level of the unit holding it, so you don't get a bigger Zerat minion for having it on a 2-star or 3-star unit, which is was the case when Zerat was a makeable item. Instead, it just scales by stage level, but it's still more powerful early on. It's definitely stronger in the early game than it is in the late game. Unfortunately, there is a small bug with the Zerat minion. It repositions itself at the start of every single round. I don't know why this is. You're currently seeing Headwinder's board. He has a Mythic Crown, and he has a ton of Mythic units on his board. So he's going to look to play into Vertical Mythic, which I've already done in some other games here. In particular, he's going to be playing through that Bard and also through the Tom Kench, because he's already hit Bard, who's a 3-cost Mythic unit, and Tom, the other 3-cost Mythic unit. But and he also has the Mythic Crown, so he's going to get to turn another unit that's not normally a Mythic unit into one. So he'll have 5 Mythic in super early, and that's going to be very strong for the early game, although it does fall off a little bit over the course of the game. Mythic trait is the old Warlord trait from set 4, basically come back again. It's pretty much the same thing. Now this round I was pretty sure I was going to win, but then I get reinforced on and I get 5 more units popping up on my board. It's actually relatively close here. I actually come pretty close to beating both of these boards, but no, this early in the game, 4 units are not going to be able to beat 8 units, and so I am going to end up losing this one. Unfortunately, it would have been nice to win this round, but nope, that is not the case. So because I don't care about Teemo, I believe that I sell the Teemo to get to 10 gold here. No, I thought that I did that there. I guess I'm misremembering here. All right. Time for our first encounter. Shen offers you a choice of starter packs containing champions and 1 component. Choose 1 Brawler, Arcanist, Wardens. Now, this is what's annoying because none of these actually fit my board very well. I ended up taking the Warden option, but like these didn't really fit my board at all, and I don't like the randomness of this setup here. I also ended up getting a belt, and I wonder if I got the belt because I picked Warden. It seems like that item was kind of coordinated there, so I don't know if that was the case or not. But yeah, it's just another one of these encounters that just, I guess, swings depending on what you end up finding. So, as I said, I don't love the encounter mechanic thus far. I don't think this is such a great set mechanic because it's pretty much like 5 times a game something random happens that you have no control over. I don't know. I'm not sure that makes for a great set mechanic. I'm already kind of annoyed by these. They're more annoying than they are interesting, but it is what it is. The rest of the set is not that bad, aside from the fact that it's not very well balanced. But, I mean, it's PBE, so you don't really expect to have great balance at this stage of the set. So, yeah, every now and then we just have, like, random wacky stuff happen. But sometimes it can just cause you to win games you shouldn't win and lose games you should win, which doesn't feel great. All right, so that's where I sold the Teemo. I remembered I sold the Teemo at some point. I guess I sold to get to 20 gold instead of selling to get to 10 gold. So, yeah. Anyway, so... we've had a successful opening thus far. I've only lost the 1 round. Headwinder hasn't lost. That means we're going to be last pick on the carousel. I would like to get the sword and the Elune that's on there. That's not a possibility. So since that's not available, I end up grabbing the Darius because this will make Darius 2-star. Also give me a bow. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with the bow, but perhaps it could be half of a Titan's Resolve. I think that might be useful here. Excuse me. The Titan's Resolve could be useful on some of the Umbral units that I'd like to play later on. Okay. Let's go ahead and cover the Umbral trait itself. Excuse me, and I'm also going to go ahead and play this Kindred because I think this unit's better than Teemo. All right, so you've probably noticed these little squares that have like a moon on them on the board. This is the Umbral trait in action. So let's go ahead and read the formal description of Umbral. The moon illuminates hexes, shielding units placed in them at the start of combat. Umbral units in illuminated hexes execute low health enemies. So it's 2 things. It's a shield and it's an execute. The shield functions if you stand in them at the beginning of combat. So the shield applies to any unit. It doesn't have to be an Umbral unit. Any unit that stands there will get the shield. So that's kind of nice. The Umbral formation always goes in one of these like little wacky crescents. As you see me fighting this level 6 board, which is pretty annoying. But like the Umbral shape is always in like a kind of a wacky crescent, as I said. So it's a little bit reminiscent of KDA trait from the last set, because KDA trait also would put hexes on the ground that you had to stand in. But unlike KDA, which was kind of like pristine geometric formations, Umbral is always in like a curving semicircular moon or whatever. So like I said, any unit that stands in there gets the shield benefit. The secondary function, as by the way, I find an Elune. That's great. I'm very happy to have the Elune. I'm going to play this. And I'm also going to send this Bard over to the other board. The other function, as you see, by the way, I get another Elune from Headwinder, so now I have 2 out of 3. The other function is that it's an execute, but only the Umbral units get the execute function, and they have to be standing in an illuminated tile in order for that to work. So higher ranks of Umbral put more illuminated tiles on the board, so it's easier for them to be standing in the hexes. And then at Umbral 6, it actually illuminates the whole board, which means that they'll always be getting the execute. So Umbral is not terribly strong at lower ranks. It kind of takes off if you can get up to 6 Umbral, but that's hard to do because there's only 6 Umbral units, and one of them is a 4 cost, that's Silas, and one of them is a 5 cost, which is Set. So it's kind of hard to get up to the 6 unless you're lucky enough to get an Umbral emblem, which, by the way, this person actually did, so that's unfortunate. I'm going to be contested on Umbral in this lobby. It's not surprising. Other people can read the patch notes. They were well aware that Umbral got buffed like to a crazy extent, and so this person's also going to be playing Umbral. I mean, they even got the augment for it as well. Umbral is a makeable emblem, if I remember correctly. Let me just double check on that to make sure that I am giving correct information here. Yes, it is the glove plus spatula recipe. So yes, glove plus spatula is the Umbral emblem. And there is, in fact, an Umbral 8, but that's like just about impossible. It says in here that's a 40% health execute, and executed enemies have 100% chance to drop loot. So that's one of those prismatic just win. Oh, it's actually Umbral 9. It used to be Umbral 8. I guess they bumped it up to Umbral 9. So you need triple emblems to get that. So good luck. Unless it's some kind of bizarre port, you would probably need to have like the spatula initial starting portal, plus get a spatula off a carousel, and then somehow get another spatula at some point in time. I'm not quite sure how you'd be able to find that many spatulas, but I guess it can happen if you get very, very lucky. All right, so we're getting more items here. By the way, I actually get 2 out of 3 Alawi's, and then I realized I actually sold an Alawi earlier, which I probably should not have done. I was like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to play the Alawi over the Jax. They are both Wardens, but Alawi's a 3 cost and Jax is a 1 cost, so she's a significantly better unit. Now, unfortunately, I have this bow, which I don't really want, and I'm not quite sure what to do with the bow, so I was like, as I said, it could be half of a Titan's, but the problem is no one on my board right now really wants a Titan's. And by the way, yes, you've noticed that the Zerat minion repositions at the start of every round. So if I want that unit to get the Umbral shield, I actually have to put it back on the highlighted hexes every single round. Very, very annoying. I mean, I do want that, but yeah, it's just a bug that it repositions at the start of every single fight. It never stays where it was before. So the unit that I'm most going to be playing through, at least through this portion of the game, is I'm going to be playing through Elune, who is that unit standing in the back right now. She is a unit that was created specifically for Teamfight Tactics Set 11. She does not exist in standard League of Legends. I believe in the lore she's supposed to be tied to Aphelios in some way, but don't quote me on that. I can't remember. I'm not as familiar with the intimate personal details of some of these past characters. Anyway, here we get a chance for our second augment. And, you know, if I had been uncontested on Umbral, I probably would have taken the champion duplicators and gone for Elune 3-star. This is a comp that I think is slated to be a 3-cost reroll comp because it has double 3 costs. Elune and Yone, they're both 3-cost units. So I probably would have gone for that and tried to 3-star the Elune. But because I know it's being contested by another player, there's another player. Remember, we saw that person with the Umbral emblem. I was like, I'm probably not going to hit 3-star Elune this game. That seems unlikely. So instead, I'm just going to try to get up to level 8 or level 9 and see if I can find the 4 and 5 cost Umbral units and look to play them. Because both Silas, who's the 4 cost, and Set, who's the 5 cost, are very strong units, especially in this patch. They're probably going to get nerfed after this particular PBE patch cycle comes out. So it makes more sense to level and play them and then just play other random 4 and 5 cost units, as opposed to trying to 3-star this unit, because someone else is going to be playing Elune. And there's actually a random person in the lobby who was not playing Umbral trait who just also had a 2-star Elune. I'm not exactly sure why, but I know I saw somebody else who had it. So there's already like 6 or 7 Elunes out of the pool, and it's going to make it almost impossible to 3-star the unit. So that's probably not happening. So yeah, I'll just be content with a 2-star Elune, which I should be able to get. Headwinder already has another Elune on his bench, so we already have the 2-star between us. He'll be able to send that, and I'll be at least able to have a 2-star Elune, if not a 3-star one. All right, here Elune actually pops up as an encounter, offers you a choice of completed items. So out of all these different options here, I was like, oh, cool, there's a Morellonomicon. I am very happy to get this. Now, I did take Blistering Strikes for my augment, so it's a little bit less necessary to have a Morello's. And yes, by the way, that Zerat minion got moved again. It's a little bit less necessary to have that, but it's still a very, very good item to have on Elune. So let's go ahead and cover her ability, because as I said, she's not a champion in League of Legends. All right, traits are Invoker plus Umbral. I put Janna on the board just to get Invoker trait in, which is going to provide some mana generation. Her ability is called Lunar Barrage, costs 60 mana currently. Don't be surprised if that changes. It says rain meteors throughout the row with the most total enemy health. Meteors deal magic damage split between all enemies hit. Deal magic damage to the current target. All enemies hit are 20% shredded for 6 seconds. That removes the magic resistance. Grant attack speed split amongst all allies in Elune's row for 5 seconds. So, okay, there's a lot going on here, and it definitely feels like this unit is a little bit overtuned because she does a lot of different things at once. So, number one, she hits a row of enemies and deals magic damage to all of them. one. That's why the Morellos is a very good item on her, because she can apply Morellos quite well, especially when enemies are clumped together on a row, like the enemies were kind of clumped up in the front row there. We can get back to this larger point in a second, but she hits everybody in a row. She then also deals magic damage single target to a single unit. She also shreds magic resistance, and she grants attack speed to anyone standing in the same row as her. So it's like, yeah, that's an awful lot of stuff that she does there. So it's AoE damage to the enemy team, single target damage to the enemy team, magic resist shred to the enemy team, and attack speed buff to people on your own team. I feel like they packed a little bit too much into this ability. They're probably going to have to dial the numbers way down just because she's doing a little bit too much with her kit there, if we're being perfectly honest. But in any case, yeah, that's all of what she's doing. So she's probably intended to be more of a utility unit, but she actually carries pretty well, at least in this patch. Anyway, that is the gift round there. So I'm going to go ahead and send some components over to Headwinder, who, by the way, is kind of carrying my board right now. There's the other Alloon coming over, so thank you, Headwinder. I found one Alloon, he found two. That makes the 3-star, or makes 2 out of 3. I am also going to just straight upgrade from Garen into Amumu. I had 2 out of 3 Amumus there, so I am happy to go ahead and do that. I have 2 out of 3 Amumus, 2 out of 3 Alawis. They are both Warden units. They are both 3-cost units. I definitely want Warden trait in because I'm hoping down the road to find Set. So I want to play at least one Warden down the road alongside Set. So we might as well run 2 Wardens right now. Umbral's interesting because it actually has all 3 of the tank traits in as potential options for the trait to play. So you have Yorick, who is a behemoth, a 2-cost unit. You have the Silas, who is a 4-cost unit and is a bruiser. And then you also have Set, who's a 5-cost unit and is a Warden. So that's all 3 of the tank traits. Although both Silas and Set are kind of carry units in their own right. They're kind of like tank/carry. They're not like straight tanks. They actually do quite a bit of damage as well. So they're a little bit odd in that particular sense. Similarly, there is a Galio here. I could potentially look to play the Galio because I'm going to want a Bruiser to pair with Silas if at all possible. And I think that was my thought process here. I definitely want to level and play another unit here because I want a 5-match win streak. I want to carry this into the minion round. So I'm looking here. Oh, by the way, it's my gift round, and Thief's Glove was an option, so I'm quite happy to pick up Thief's Glove here. So I was like, all right, I can go ahead and play the Galio, I guess, just to put another good unit on the board. Galio's a 4-cost unit. He has Bruiser trait. I don't actually have any Bruisers in right now. So I'm looking at this, and I was like, all right, we'll put Galio on the board. But then I sit here, I was like, you know what? I probably have enough tanks. What I actually need is more damage on my board. So I don't really need Galio. I think I need more damage. So I'm actually going to put the Syndra on my board instead. And that's going to put Arcanist trait on the board. And more importantly than that, it's just going to give me a little bit more damage. As I said, I felt like I was a little lacking in damage. Now, that said, I do have very good items on Alloon right now. So she's got the Morellos, which, as I said, she's very good at applying. When she hits an enemy row, she's going to apply Morellos to everybody in the row. Again, a little bit less important here because I have Blistering Strikes, but you do get that health burn effect, which is kind of nice. And then she also has a Death Cap, which is going to increase her damage by a lot. And I already have another Rod, so I'm hoping to put something else in there. I would be happy with Gunblade. I'd be happy with a Jeweled Gauntlet. Either one would be pretty nice. Jeweled Gauntlet plus Death Cap does a lot of damage if you get the crit off. So, as I said, I'm relatively pleased with that. All right, now over there, Headwinder makes the 2-star Bard. He actually has 6 Bards already, and I have a Bard in my store. I was like, why don't I just send you another Bard? That'll get you to 7 Bards. And he's also on 5 Tom Kenches as well. So at this point, we're like, why don't we just try to make 2-star Tom Kench and 2-star Bard? He also has managed to put the Mythic Emblem on a Kaisa, who's a relatively good user for it, although I don't think it's the best user for it. I've actually seen that Annie seems to hold it pretty well. By the way, there is a 2-star Amumu just coming out of the orbs right there, so that's pretty nice. Amumu's got the Lucky Gloves, and by the way, there's another Amumu. I'll pick up the Tom Kench because I might be able to send that over to Headwinder in the hopes of making 3-star Tom Kench. And there's another Amumu in this store. I believe I actually do not pick this up, but I should have just kept picking up Amumus because, I mean, like, why not, right? I might as well make the attempt to try to go towards this. Yeah, in terms of who makes for a good Mythic Emblem, Mythic as a trait grants health. It also grants attack damage, and it grants ability power. I've seen people put it on Annie and then run her as a frontliner with the Mythic Emblem, and that gets you an extra rank of Invoker. That actually seems to work pretty well. I also had a game where I was playing the 4-cost Mythic, or I was playing the Tom Kench, who's Mythic plus Bruiser. I actually put it on Silas in a game, and it seemed to work pretty well there because Silas makes good use of the health, makes good use of the ability power as well. But in this game, obviously, that's not going to happen because I'm playing the Silas, and we're not going to be... we don't want to contest each other on the same units. So, but as I said, I thought Silas was a pretty good user of the Mythic Emblem, and Annie seemed to be a pretty good user too. But and most of the 5-cost units would be pretty good as well, that you could pair in there. So like, I don't know, you could probably put Udyr on the board with it, and he'd make great use of it as well. All right, anyway, last augment here, I have this option, Wrath of the Moon. Umbral champions deal 4% more damage every second they continue attacking an enemy. Resets when they swap targets. And by the way, then I see 2 more Amumu's in my shop, and at this point I was like, ah, man, should have picked up that previous Amumu. I could be on 6 Amumus right now, but I'm definitely going to pick these up. At this point, it's like, well, why not, right? I'm 5/9 of the way there, so I'm already more than halfway there. And between us, we now, I believe we are really close on the Tom Kench right now. I think we have 7 Toms right now between us for Headwinder. By the way, Headwinder, I believe, has still not lost a round yet this game. I might be wrong on that, but I think he hasn't lost a round yet. I think I lost 2 rounds, and I think he's won every single round. And he also has a cheap champion duplicator as well. He took the augment that gives him 2 lesser champion duplicators for his last augment. That is going to help him 3-star some of his remaining units. But it is, other than that, it is kind of going to be a dead augment. So I'm not sure if that was necessarily the best one to pick. It's going to make him stronger in the short run when he hits those 3 stars, but it is going to fall off a little bit in the long run. Still, his board has been absolutely carrying me up to this point in time. I mean, my board is not bad or anything, but his board is definitely stronger. I think he's been on 6 Mythic for a while. I'm not sure if he's on the 7 Mythic yet, but he's definitely going to spike when he hits the 7 Mythic. Now, unfortunately, I'm getting reinforced on this round. I'm like, oh my god, Headwinder, come in and save me, but no, not going to happen. And in fact, that's actually an Aphelios 3-star jumping in there on that board. So Aphelios is a 3-cost unit, so it's not like it's the end of the world if you see a 3-star Aphelios, but still, early stage 4, that's pretty early. By the way, there's an Aphelios in the store if you're curious about his traits. That's pretty early in the game to be having a 3-star 3-cost pop up at the beginning of stage 4. So that team did a nice job to go ahead and make that unit come together. All right, there is another 2-star Tom Kench. So that's 6 Toms, and I have 2 more. So between us, we have 8, and then there's still the champion duplicator. Over on his board, Headwinder was rolling a bit to try to hit more Toms, and he is going to go ahead and hit a Silas for me. So that is great news. You might have noticed I haven't been talking about the Umbral units since the beginning of the game, and that's because I am still missing all the other Umbral units. Yeah, there are 2 3-cost Umbral units. One is a Loon, who of course I've been playing with. The other one is Yone. I have not seen even one Yone the entire game thus far, which is kind of wild. I'm not really sure why I haven't been seeing any of them. Maybe, again, well, there is a reason, because somebody else is playing Umbral. They must be taking them out of the pool. So normally you would probably play through a Loon plus the Yone in the mid-game, but like that has not been a possibility for me because I have not found that unit. So I have not been able to get the 4 Umbral in, which I really would have liked to have done. But remember, I have that Umbral augment, so I benefit from playing vertical Umbral by having that in there. There's also a spatula here on the carousel, and it's on an Azir. Azir is the 5-cost Invoker. I would love to take that. I would try to make the Umbral emblem, and then I just have Azir as a 5-cost Invoker, but of course that's not a possibility. We could also take it on Headwinder. Remember, he already has 1 Mythic Emblem, so if he makes another Mythic Emblem, he could potentially play 10 Mythic at level 10. That would be hard to do because you do have to get to level 10 to do that, but you need 2 Mythic Emblems, and then you need the 8 Mythic units to play Mythic 10, which is kind of like an auto-win condition. There wasn't really anything I wanted on the carousel, so I just went ahead and grabbed this Saloon. Now I'm finally level 8, so I'm going to sell the Yorick, who had kind of been holding some of the items I wanted on Silas. I'm going to put the Warmogs on him. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to put the Dragon's Claw on him. So I am leaning a little bit more in the tank direction. Oh, and then the Zerat minion is going to come back in. Now I also want to shift that Zerat minion over a little bit. And hey, now I've hit 6 Amumus. Okay, so that's something. So at this point, I was like, do I want to roll more, or do I just want to try to rush to level 9? And I think I looked at the game situation, and I was like, we're on 89 HP. Headwinder's board is still really strong. I think I'm just going to greed this out to level 9 and then roll on level 9, because a lot of other people in the lobby are doing the same thing. They're also trying to greed to a fast 9. So I think that I can get away with this. We'll probably lose some health. I expect my board to start falling off, but yeah, if I can just get to level 9, that gives me much better odds to find Set. And I really do need Set because without an Umbral emblem, I cannot play 6 Umbral without having Set on my board. So I definitely am going to need him there. So anyway, I'm getting reinforced on by the other Umbral player. But of course, Headwinder's come over to my board as well. And that means that it's a 4 versus 4, a 2 versus 2, 4 people playing, as opposed to a 2 versus 1. And I'm reasonably happy with this. Now, here is Set as an encounter. And these encounters are just, I don't know, I think they're really stupid. All that they do is just drag out the length of the game. So like, okay, he makes our little legend bigger. It's like, well, great. Well, that just wastes 20 seconds to no point whatsoever. As I said, I just don't really like these encounters very much. I think they're kind of stupid. They don't really do anything. They just kind of waste everybody's time. The games are noticeably longer here as a result in set 11 as well. I don't know if they're going to change this up later on and try to make the game pace a little bit faster, but again, it's kind of noticeable that the games are lasting longer. A lot of them are lasting to 40 minutes here, just because, again, everything takes longer when you got to stop and wait for 20 seconds for nonsense like everybody getting bigger. It does add up, when you have like 5 or 6 of these over the course of the game, it does stretch it out. So, as I said, I like the overall trait design. I think that if the set is better balanced, then it'll be fun to play. It has not been particularly well balanced on the PBE thus far. But I'm not much. I'm not much on the whole encounter concept. I think it's kind of silly as a set mechanic. Alrighty, well, I went ahead and made a third item on Silas. As I said, I went ahead and made an Ionic Spark. I don't think that these are by any means best in slot items for Silas. He's intended to be a little bit more of a carry. I've kind of built him as a straight tank, but I think that it works for this game because I'm not intending him to carry the damage load. I think Alun is going to carry that, and then I'm hoping to get another Invoker that I can play alongside her. Azir would be ideal as the 5-cost Invoker. Otherwise, I could look to play Lilia, but I don't really want to play Lilia because she has Mythic Trait, and Headwinder's going to need to play her. So yeah, I'm just going to greed my way to level 9, and then we're going to go from there and see what happens. If you're curious about how these trait works on Silas, I'll go ahead and read it here. He has Bruiser plus Umbral trait. Bruiser trait is not in at the moment. Ability is called Unchain the Demon. Only costs 40 mana, so low mana cost. Dash around the target and slam, dealing magic damage and healing for health. Swipe after, dealing magic damage to nearby enemies. So he kind of dashes around, deals damage, and heals. My understanding is you want to play him as like tank plus AP. By the way, I also find a Hui here, so I'm going to try to send that over to Headwinder, but I just recently used the send to give him a Tom Kench, and I'm not going to be able to send the Hui for a little bit. So I'm not a huge fan of some of the items I got here. In fact, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with these. So I was like, what I want to be building right now is set items. So these are items that are going to go on set later on. So I was like, all right, Titan's Resolve is fine. And then Guard Breaker is just kind of like a random collection of stats. The Titans is good on set. I would say that the Titans is probably not that great. Or the Titans is good. The Guard Breaker probably not so amazing. But anyway, I need somebody to hold these, and Alawi's going to come out of the comp later, so she can just hold these items for a future set. It's unfortunate she's not 2-starred. I've been sitting on 2 out of 3 Alawis like the whole game, but I guess I did sell an Alawi at the very start of the game, so I could have had the 2-star version if I wanted. Now I'm up against that 3-star Aphelios board again, and I have no business winning this round, but oh my god, Alun gets off an absolutely unbelievable cast there. Her horizontal row ability did like 1100 damage, and then her single target did like another 800 damage, and that just burst the 3-star Aphelios from 100 to 0 in like 1 second, so that was pretty wild. Now Headwinder was coming over to reinforce, but I think I actually did win that round before he got there, so pretty wild. Like I said, I really had no business winning that round. My board is decent enough, but it's not that strong. I think it's a sign that the Umbral trait is a little overpowered in this particular set. So we're getting to the last gift rounds and double up. I'm going to send the whatchamacallit, I'm going to send the components over to Headwinder. I don't know why it took me a moment to think of that. And then I also find an Azir in the shop at 3% odds, so I am happy to just play the Azir. And he can stand over there, and he can get a Lucky Gloves so that he will always roll good items. And then I'm going to have to try to remember to shift the Zerat minion over here so he has a little bit of protection. So that's going to help me do a little bit more damage as well. Azir is not a super high damaging unit. He let me go ahead and cover his ability. And by the way, this person has the 6 Umbral board. You might have noticed that the entire board was illuminated over on their side. In terms of the Umbral hexes. So do I have enough to beat this board with me having Umbral 4 and them having Umbral 6 in. Again, they've had that emblem on me the whole time. The biggest difference, I think, is that my Elune is a lot better than their Elune. I think I would have lost this round, but Headwinder does manage to come over here. Is that going to be enough to win this? Oh, it's very, very close. Can we win this round? Azir is just barely alive. And, oh, he's going to get taken out by Aurelia. All that was left was a Sand Soldier. So we do lose that round. Like I said, I'm pretty sure I would have won that solo. It was actually very close with the help of Headwinder, though. Alrighty, so I'll just continue picking up balloons. Again, I do not expect to hit 3-star Loon, but I might as well keep picking them up. And we'll see. That other person who's playing the 6 Umbral is not going for 3-star Loon. They just 2-starred the unit, whereas it's kind of my main carry, so I might as well pick them up and see what happens. Anyway, Azir, as I mentioned, Azir is the 5-cost Invoker. His ability kind of does two things. One is fire a beam through the current target, deals magic damage to enemies hit, and then he spawns a Sand Soldier. It's called in here a Guardian, but it's basically a Sand Soldier that has basically just a lot of health, and that Sand Soldier doesn't move or attack. So he does a lot of damage, but it's pretty limited. He fires out like a little beam that hits a one. I think he can hit more than one target, but it's a pretty small range beam. And then he puts down like this Sand Soldier afterwards. So watch Azir when his mana bar fills up. So yeah, he'll do that cast. I guess he hit like 2 units with it. But he seems like he's a little bit underpowered. The general sense has been he's probably the weakest 5 cost. They'll probably buff him into OP status sooner or later. But yeah, he doesn't feel that great. Anyway, now it's down to just a Loon. Can she kill all these units? No, she cannot. So I'm not surprised I lost these rounds. As I said, I was expecting to lose rounds. I'm actually impressed that I made it all the way to the stage 5 carousel and only dropped those last 2 rounds at the end. Excuse me, apparently right when I was going to do this cast, I started like coughing left and right. I don't know why that is, but on we go. The fun of doing live casts here instead of editing later. Okay, now this is an interesting carousel because there is a mythic emblem on this carousel, and the only one playing mythic is Headwinder. So if he takes this and gets to level 10, he can play 10 mythic. So I was hoping that this would still be there. Remember, nobody else in the game actually needs this. No one else is playing mythic. But one of these teams actually takes it to deny it to him. And that's a pretty impressive play. Considering that this is, freaking PBE double up, someone took the time to go ahead and actually just take something that was useless for their board in the hopes of denying it so he couldn't get to 10 mythic later on. Alrighty, so I am going to play this Ornn. He's going to make actually Dryad and Behemoth, although Dryad's pretty useless in this stage. Dryad is a stacking trait. It's not actually going to do anything. But then there is the big hit. Set pops up in my store. So that means Alawi out, set in. Let's go ahead and put that on the board. And then now I need to get Kayn on the board because Kayn is going to get the 6 Umbral in. That does mean I have to drop the Syndra, who is giving me Arcanist trait, although I just dropped the Alawi as well, so I don't have Arcanist trait either way. I did lose Porcelain trait on Amumu, though, so that's a little bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. I need to get the 6 Umbral in, and I'm happy with all the other traits. So now that I have 6 Umbral in, I just start winning rounds, right? Right? It's like, no, actually, I kind of got crushed this round. It was like, oh, okay, that actually wasn't that great. And it's because I still have to upgrade my board quite a bit. Now, I did get to the 6 Umbral, but I still have 1-star Sylas. I still have 1-star Set. I have a 2-star Kayn, but Kayn has absolutely no items. Or Yone, not Kayn, excuse me. I get those two confused because they're both Reapers. If I were playing through the Yone, I would try to have Reaper trait in. So I have a lot of work still to do with this board. As I said, I really need to get 2-star Sylas. I really would like to get 2-star Set. So we're going to have to do a lot more rolling to do. We still have 1-star... what do you call it? 1-star. What's the name of the unit? 1-star Azir. There it is. And then I find another Set, so that actually is pretty good stuff. So we're gonna keep rolling here. There is another Sylas, and there's another Ornn. Definitely need to pick that up because I am playing Ornn. And yeah, so this is starting to get a little bit better. I am getting big shields from Umbral, and remember, I have that big execute as well. I also do get the stacking damage from my 3rd augment. Remember, I have the Umbral specific augment, which means the longer they attack the same target, the more damage that they do to that target. So we do stack up over the course of the fight. And this is getting a little bit closer. Azir gets off a nice beam, but it looks like we're still going to be a little bit short in this round. So again, I have lost the last 4 rounds in a row, which is not great. But I think it's because a lot of other people completely rolled to their board. Like they rolled all their gold earlier. And I still need a couple more rounds to finish doing that. All right, I'm actually going to get a 2-star Sylas right here from Headwinder, so that's pretty nice. Not bad at all. So that actually gives me a 2-star Silas. Now, if I'm gonna send him the way because it's up in my store. If I can't hit 2-star Silas myself, I'll just go ahead and sell. But I am on 5 Silases right now, so it's not impossible that I could try to hit the 3-star. Although I actually think if that other board is playing, I actually should have realized that it was impossible to hit because that other board's playing it. So yeah, I don't know if that is actually possible. All right, another item, anvil here. I need a last item for the set. I'm looking at different options. These are all pretty terrible set items, so I'll take the gargoyles, which is not a great item on him. I'd actually would like something like a warmog just for more health, but that is not an option. Although I guess if I guess I could have sold the Silas and moved the warmogs over. But anyway, then I hit 2-star Set, so that's huge. That's really huge because Set is not that tanky of a unit. And I do not have that many tank items on him. And then I hit the 2-star Silas. Now I do not have to sell this, and I can continue trying to make the play for 3-star Silas and see if that is a possibility in the long run. I'm also up to 7 Aloons and 6 Amumus, so that's also a possibility as well. And then I have this random Udyr here. Basically what I could do is I could sell the Ornn and play Udyr. If I were to hit 2-star Udyr, I think that would be better. But I don't think it's worthwhile to sell a 2-star Ornn and play a 1-star Udyr. They're both behemoths, basically. By the way, this round's pretty close, but I think Aloon's got this. There we go. Aloon and Azir managed to finish off that board, which was a heavenly board over there. Pretty close lobby with these other two teams are very close as far as who could get second and who could get third. We have a lot of health banked, but I'm not sure our board is quite as strong as some of these. So anyway, I'm still trying to get there, still trying to roll, and this is probably a good moment to talk about the ability that is on Set. He has an unusual ability that stacks over time. Go ahead and read his description. So his passive, at the start of the combat, squat adjacent units in the same row, permanently gain 2% attack damage for each 1,000 health squatted. So you might notice these 2 little hexes on the sides of him. And by the way, there is actually 3-star Amumu, so I'll lock for that. I don't want to sell anything that's in my store right now. But yeah, he will squat the 2 units on either side, and he permanently gains 2% attack damage for every 1,000 health squatted. So I'm trying to put my highest health targets to the side of him, and the Zerat minion is actually one of them. Although I think that once the Amumu is 3-starred, Amumu is going to have a little bit more. So I managed to get 2-star Set in pretty early, and he's going to be scaling over time because he's probably, I think he's bench pressing a 2,000 health unit and like a 3,000 health unit every round. So that's like 10% attack damage every round, 2% times 5, around 10%. So he's going to be able to scale over the course of this time, and he's going to get more and more AD. Yeah, there we go. There's the Amumu 3-star. So I should put the Amumu 3-star next. And of course, that stupid Zerat minion gets repositioned every single round. Oh, and then there's an Aloon in the store, so I'll go ahead and lock for that. So it's going to get me to 8 Aloons. And by the way, look over there, Headwinder has another Aloon. So between the two of us, we have Aloon 3-star. I just need him to get that send over. He sent at like the beginning of this stage, so it probably cools down around the beginning of stage 7. So if we can make it there, then hopefully. So between us, we have the Aloon 3-star, and that's going to be really big because Aloon's been such an awesome unit for me. Anyway, the other thing that Set does, that was his passive. His actual function on his ability is called Latent Shadow. Slam the current target forward, stun them and deal physical damage, deal secondary damage, plus a percentage of the target's maximum health as physical damage to enemies within 2.5 hexes. So basically what Set does is he picks up enemy units and he pile drives them. He is kind of the antidote to very, very tanky champions, because if you have a big tank with a ton of health, his ability does more damage. And it's actually kind of reminiscent of what he did in Set 4, although he does not go off the board and do push-ups like he did in or crunches, whatever he did. It's not like that he did back in Set 4. But other than that, the ability works in kind of a similar way. Anyway, now it's time to pick another item off here. So there's very little that I want here. Kind of all my units are fully itemized. I don't really have much I can do, so I just go ahead and grab this Bloodthirster, which I can put on Yone. Again, the Gnasher's Tooth is a horrible item on Yone. Bloodthirster's actually pretty good on him. But yeah, there we go. The Amumu actually rolled Warmog, so I think he has like 4,000 health this round. So that's a lot more extra AD in terms of the sit-ups that Set's going to be doing over there. And we are down to just one team remaining, and the Umbral team did get knocked out, so it is actually possible to hit 3-star Silas here, which would probably be an instant win condition if we hit 3-star Silas on here. That went by a little bit too fast. I was trying to check how much he had just bench pressed. If you really want to know, go back and pause the video. I'm afraid I did not manage to catch that fast enough. I believe he was at about 50% bonus damage. So, that is quite a lot. If you can hit him pretty early, that definitely scales up over time and definitely makes a big difference. All right, this is a pretty close fight. It's down to just 1 unit remaining, down to just the, Lee Sin. But then I get reinforced on. I was like, geez. Not quite enough. Very, very, very close. But Headwinder lost on that end. And then I lost on the other end as well. So I was like, oof, okay. Can I hit this last Elune? Is the Sen cooled down yet? No, it is not quite cooled down yet. I was like, can I find this last Elune? I really want the 3-star Elune over there, but no, not available. And again, I don't want to sell the Silas because we do still have a chance to maybe make 3-star Silas. If this game goes long, then we might have that chance. Over there, I see that this board has the 4 Behemoth, has 3-star Thresh, 3-star Shen on the front line. And then it's playing through that 3-star Aphelios in the back line. So I'm like, all right, well, if Set can pile driver him, 58%, net gain 58%. I was like, if Set gets off the pile driver on the Thresh over there, that might actually be pretty good for us. So can Set get that off? He's going to go ahead and grab the Thresh and boom, there we go, right into the back line. So yeah, Set really is the counter to these super tanky front lines. Is the tankier you are, the more damage he deals. And yeah, oh wow, what happened right there? Well, it looks like we just burst right through the front line, and so much for that. I actually thought that board was going to beat me there. Kind of thought I was going to lose that round, but Headwinder won his round, I won my round, and that's going to be a wrap. We're going to take first place in this lobby. And definitely feels like Umbral's a little bit overtuned in this game. I did have some pretty good luck at hitting the Set at the end of the game, but I did not have good luck at hitting the Yone earlier in the game, so I guess it balances out. Anyway, it's PBE. It's not very well balanced. The set is okay. I'm not loving the set so far, but I guess it's all right. We'll see how much time I end up spending with it. Anyway, once again, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this game. Until next time, hope you guys are having a great week. Take care, folks, and I will see you again soon.